welcome to today's webinar on new Sage 50 accounts. Today's webinar is aimed at introducing you to the new features within the new Sage 50 accounts. Now, this is an introductory session, so if you think of any questions throughout my presentation, please type them into the WebEx chat panel and I'll do my best to answer your questions after this session. Now, if for any reason I cannot answer your questions, what I will do is I'll take them away and get back to you with the answers. So what we're going to be going through today is going through the general release information, where I will talk about the subscription, installation and data service manager. We will then go on to the navigation, which will include the new interface, navigation around the new Sage 50 account software and what Windows Standards is. I will then go through the additional features such as the backup manager, access rights and inactive accounts, and then I'll go through what is Sage Drive, how you are able to enable it, accessing data from Sage Drive and the new apps as well. So we'll get started. Now, the release date for new Sage 50 accounts was at the end of August 2014, and the method to receive the install was by downloading the install from the support website. The method to receive the install is by downloading it, and any Client Manager customers will receive a DVD, and the CD for the Client Manager and Dataset Manager are two different CDs. The Dataset Manager is different. It is a useful utility that allows you to have 5 different versions of the product. So if a client sends you a backup, rather than updating their version of the data, you can upload it into the version that they are working on and avoid any data being upgraded. It is a very useful utility, and if you want to know more about that, then give support a call and they'll be able to advise you. Now, the accounts discs were shipped from 18th of August to accountants and from the 16th of August for non-accountants. So if you haven't received the CD, then please let us know. Now, before you go through the install, you will need to make sure that Microsoft.NET for Extended Profile is installed onto the PC, and you can find out how to do that by going to the Microsoft website. Also, the new Sage 50 accounts product has a new icon for the software. So once you install it, you'll notice that the icon has been updated in a green circle and what seems to be cache with the books stacked on top of it. So how will you be able to download the product? Now, if you are on a subscription, what you'll be able to do is when you log into Sage Support website, you can download it from there, and it'll be available within the full program section. Now, if your clients are on a monthly subscription, they won't get a disc. They need to download the product from support sites. And once you log in, you will then be able to go into the monthly subscription area, select the product you need, and in this case it will be Sage 50 Accounts 2014, and then you'll be able to select download. Once it's downloaded, you will then be able to view the install accounts version 2014 file, and you will then be able to carry out the installation. Now, activation is slightly different, so once you enter the serial number and activation key, you will be prompted to enter the account number. So as you can see, normally you would just enter your serial number and activation key, but now you also have to carry out your account number entry, and that will then be able to recognize if your customer or yourself are on a subscription. Now, we also have made a few changes to the installer. So Windows Small Business Server 2011 and Windows XP are not supported for the new Sage 50 accounts. You will find more information by going to the support site, which is sage.co.uk/operating systems. Now, as with previous versions, you will be prompted if your PC doesn't meet the recommendations specified during the system checks. If for any reason you are using a Small Business Server 2011, then you can speak to the support team, and there currently is a workaround to get the install to work. So if you speak to the support team on 0845 111 1111, they'll be able to talk you through the workaround. Now, the new installation is slightly different, where the program will recognize if you are doing a new PC installation, and you would get three options, which is a standard option, advanced option, and a data service only option. Now, the standard install will be for new PCs, and it will add the files to the default location. If you choose advanced, then this allows you to change the location, which is ideal if you have different versions of the product. But bear in mind that your clients will most likely be licensed for just one product, so they might need to use the standard option. If you recognize that it's already been installed, then what you can do is you can ask it to upgrade or carry out the install to a new folder. Now, we have had a number of calls where customers have upgraded the existing product and not realized that it has been upgraded, and have had to call us to try and undo it. Now, to undo it, there is no way. You would have to uninstall all versions and then reinstall them separately. So it's best to make sure that you read all the screens and the prompts that appear. So in the last check, it does say, would you like to upgrade this installation or select a different file folder for the install? So if you're happy to overwrite the existing version, then that's fine. You just select upgrade. Or if you want to change the location, which then allows you to have the existing version and the new version on your PC, then select the new folder option. If you're unsure when installing to what to change the settings to, then you have a last confirmation screen that you must go through to make sure that you are sure about installing, and you will also be given the option to change the settings if necessary near the end. If you're happy to overwrite the install, then you just select yes. Now, also to make you aware, the current version is compatible to upgrade from version 16 to version 20. Any installs before that won't be compatible, so you will need to speak to support and most likely install them in different locations. So, Data Service Manager. Now, part of the new installation, the new version of the new Windows service is installed for this to work, and it will have to be a Windows PC that you install the product on. The service works by moving the new Sage 50 accounts to a more client-server relationship by running a service on any machine that is hosting the Sage 50 accounts dataset, usually the server, which then acts as a single point of entry for the reading and writing of all files within the ACT data folder. Now, the service will handle all files critical to the integration of the data, which are the DTA, DTH, and client chart of accounts files. We are going to be moving traditional client-service relationship, where this service is going to manage your database. So if you're using NAD, also known as NAD drive, it won't be compatible for Sage 50. Your data has to be hosted in a Windows environment and will handle the integrity of the files. Now, previously you would have had multiple PCs trying to access the same files at the same time. What the new Data Service Manager does, it in a sense queues everything up for you. So each PC will try to access the files, and the data service will put them in order and manage the access to the files, making it more streamlined and secure. Now, the two new features that have been added within Sage 50 are managed by the Data Service Manager. A reason for this change has been for the fact that it reduces data corruption and loss of data, because what the server will then do is it will queue all the information that's needing to be entered into the header.dta files or the ACT data files, and if connection is lost, they will be there waiting to be rewritten. When you install the program on your PC, if the data is on the server, you must install the data service there too. Now, Sage 50 Account Service is installed by default whenever the software is installed onto any PC. Therefore, if you're installing the software onto a standalone, there's no additional installation steps that you need to take. Now, where the data is stored on a server and you don't want to install the full software on the server PC, you will then need to go through the Sage 50 account service only install. Now, you can download that from the website, or you can select it as a part of the install from the CD. Now, the installer is client server setup.exe file, which is normally held in the install folder. As part of the installation, firewall exemptions will need to be added to allow client machines to connect to the server machine. So if you're operating a firewall other than the Windows standards, then the exceptions for these files may need to be manually added to the server PC. Now, if the data service has not been allowed through the firewall, the client PCs will be presented with an error as if the service isn't running on the server. So that's something to be aware of, that if you do get an error message, it's because the exemptions may not be added to the server firewall. Now, we do have an Sage article number, which is 12122, which goes through configuring how watch all files in the ACK data, and we're configuring antivirus software to work with the accounts. So it will talk you through how you can add the exceptions. Now, the service now watches all files in the ACK data, and we do not recommend touching any files in the ACK data while the service is running. So because the service is governing any files, occasionally you may need to access the ACK data file or the q.dta file, where previously you would have just been able to go into there and change the information. Well, now what you'll need to do is stop the service by going into Tools, Dataset Manager, or even accessing it by going into the Start menu and Data Service Manager. The way to stop the service is when the Data Service Manager is open, you must enter the name of the server that holds the data and then select Service. Now, if you select the Data Service Manager from the product, it should automatically recognize the IP address for the computer or for the server. What you would then need to do is just select the Stop Service option, and then it will allow you to go into the ACK data folder and the q.dta file and make any changes that are necessary. It will also outline if any users are still logged into the system, so you need to make sure they're logged out, and then stop the service. Now, once you've stopped the service, if you don't restart it and try and go into the product, you will get an error message. So that's something to be made aware of, is whenever you stop the service, make sure you restart it so you don't get an error when logging into the product. So in regards to navigation, now one of the changes that has been made to Sage 50 accounts is the navigation, and the navigation changes have started over 5 years ago. So we've been in the planning stages for that long, and what we've been trying to do is get our customers' advice on how they would like an easier interface to look. Now, some customers advise that the user interface buttons, controls and visuals that we had were like a project for the mid-1990s, and they thought it needed modernization. Other customers said that the user interface was archaic and depressing to work with. The layout was awful, and they really wanted some user interface experts involved and let them radically alter the user interface for us. And some customers also mentioned that they wanted to have a simplifying the cluttered and confusing interface. And another customer even mentioned that it's very rare that they have a small business client that comes to them and finds Sage easy to use. So we took all our customers' feedback on board. Now, from that, what we wanted to change was the one-click access for all modules on would be just one click away. We wanted to also, instead of going to modules, have the fixed asset going into the fixed asset section. We wanted to customize the screens so you can decide what you want to use. And we also wanted to have the new toolbars for all modules to be easy to find and in a sensible order. We also included choice of visual styles, and we have given the options of choosing color schemes from one of three. And we've also now included Windows selection standards. And as part of the new feature as well, we've got inactive accounts. So if you have customers who don't have any outstanding balance on their account and you're no longer working with them, you can put them down as inactive customers or accounts. Now, the benefits for us to do this was it's now easy to navigate for new and existing users. It's more efficient to find functions you need. You're able to hide records whilst not deleting transactions. And the benefits for your clients are that it's easier to learn, it's more intuitive, and the customizations can suit the business needs and preferences. So before I show you the new interface, some of the comments from customers who attended the user groups and seminars on the new version advised that the whole new layout seemed to be more clear and easier to navigate. It looked more intuitive to them, and it was better. They found it easier to use than the one that they were currently using. They even mentioned that even somebody who doesn't have who's an everyday user could pick it up quickly, and they also advise that it's much clearer to use and less menus. Now, in relation to navigation, we have also removed the tasks and links pane, which used to duplicate processes. Used to duplicate processed all modules. Now they are listed. All processing options are available in the top section, which I'll show you in a moment. The buttons at the top of the modules will group to fit accordingly to the screen size that you use, and you also have options to change the color schemes. So what I'm going to show you now is the navigation currently looks, as well as how you can change the color schemes. So I'm going to log into my Sage 50 accounts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the existing Sage 50 accounts that we have, just so you can see the difference. Sorry, it's just taking a moment for it to load. Okay, so I'm just going to go into a demonstration data. Okay, so excuse the bright colours because I changed some of the settings and it seems to have pulled through to my version. So what you have here is you have this is the existing 2014 version, and you can see that we've got tasks, links, and you've also got the same options at the top down here where you can select new suppliers, but you can also select them on the left. And what you have is you've got these modules on the left which you can then go into. And there's a number of options that are being duplicated. So you've got some options down here, but you've also got them down there at the top as well. And when you need to select your users, you need to select them one by one. So there's no option to use any Windows standards. You can't change any of the menus. So I'm trying to right-click right now, and nothing is happening. And there's no color scheme. So there's basically just a standard color scheme that you have, and you can't change that. Okay, so I'm going to close this product now. I'm just going to go into the new version. Okay, so it's just loading that now. And I'm going to go into the demonstration client that I have. Okay, so this is the new version, and it's already been an update, so I'll just leave that for the moment. So it carries the same principles of the Sage 50 accounts, where whenever you go into it, it will give you the Getting Started guide. But now what you have is you don't have the modules being listed at the bottom, and what you have is just normal options that you're going to need. So the modules are a lot more simplified. If you go into Customer, the options aren't being duplicated, so you can see you've got your new, any edit options, any wizards. All the options are now listed in the top toolbar. So as I mentioned, you can also resize. The menu bars will get adjusted according to the screen size of your computer. So if I just now try and adjust this size, you'll see now that it groups some of the reports that you may have. And you can also see that the report options are now getting stacked. So the software will adjust itself according to the screen resolution on your computer. And now what you can also do is you can right-click on the menu bar, and you can get rid of areas that you're not going to be using. So if you're not going to be dealing with quotations, you can get rid of that. If you're not going to be using VAT, you can get rid of that as well. Diary, for example, so you can change the menu according to what your business will be using. And if at any point you want to go back to using the defaults, you just need to right-click and select Use Defaults. At the top as well, what you can do is you can alter the toolbar, so you can get rid of any options that you're not going to be using. So you're able to customize the software as you would use it on a daily basis. What you can also do is you can change the color schemes, and that's an option between the settings. Close that. Configurations. So all the options for the product are similar. I'm just going to check where that option is again. Actually, it's just tools options. Don't know why I can't see. Sometimes I can't even see what's staring at me in my face. So here's the options, and here what you can do is so you can select the colours, and as you can see, I've currently selected red, but what you can do is select the colour schemes that might be applicable for your business, or you can just leave it blank. So the colour themes that we have, we've got light, dark and white. So if I select dark, I'll OK this. Now I'll need to restart the program. So don't need to take a backup, and I'll just restart it. Okay, so when you go into the program now, you'll notice that the color scheme has changed. So you can also use the color schemes that we have set for you. So that's some of the features in regards to the navigation. What we've also got is Windows Standards. So you can also choose to use Windows Standard selection, where you previously were limited to selecting one record at a time. You can select Control and Shift to select multiple records. You would be able to enable that by going into the Tools option, Tools, Options and Environment area. And you can also resize the screen, as I mentioned before. If you're using a smaller screen, then the software can adjust it according to that as well. With the financials as well, that's been renamed to Transactions, and that forms part of the P&L and balance sheet now, and the nominals form part of that as well. So it makes more sense putting all the client chart of accounts information alongside the profit and loss and balance sheet. So if I go back to the software, to change the Windows Standard, once again you go to Tools, Options, and environment, and this is where you would select Windows standards or the Sage selection style. So if you just want to carry on using the 1x1 option, you can do so, or how you use your PC on a daily basis, you can select the Windows standard. So what this means is whenever I go into customers, rather than having to select everybody 1x1, I can press Control and Shift and select a number of people, or I can even miss some people out by pressing Control and selecting them. Okay, so other options, as I mentioned, was the financials, and that forms part of transactions now. So that forms this area, and nominal codes forms part of the normal profit and loss and balance sheet, which makes sense because the nominal codes influence what the profit and loss and balance sheet really show. What you can also do is you've got the normal stacking options as well, so you can see the codes that are available. And in regards to when you're typing any references, you can previously, searching for Sage, you would jump to S and then A, but now you can find the one. So if I select, if I go back to a customer, and if I start searching for cash and credit card sales, it's taking me straight to that rather than taking me to cash and then ABC garage. So previously it would have done that. Okay, just going to go back to the presentation. So additional features that we have is the backup manager. So this is a new automated backup and data check system, and using it's dependent on the data service that we talked about before. So it's now possible to set a time and frequency for backups on multiple data sets at once, and this can be done while users are currently logged into the data as well. So that's a new feature. Previously you had to make sure that everybody was out of the data before you took a backup, but now you can do that, and you can also schedule it. And you can view check data results from one screen. So this will only report on check data done by the backup manager. Now, also to be made aware, the backup manager can only be used by the manager. So in regards to the backup manager, what you're able to do is you can set a time. You can also select schedule a backup for every hour maybe, or when it's starting from as well. You can select the clients you want to back up, and you can also select what data and the location it's going to be backed up to. So normally you'd have that option in File, and you've got Schedule a Backup. And then it will do a check that no users are currently logged in. You can then go to the settings and you can schedule one. You can also check if any users are logged in on the system, so you can see I'm still currently logged in. And you can also see the check data results. You can also see where the backup files are being placed. Now, in regards to the backup file manager as well, what you can do is, depending on multiple servers as well, you can have the backup manager running for multiple servers. So even if clients are on different server from company 1 and 2, the backup manager will be able to deal with that and back up the copies for you. Now, another thing is access rights. So we've simplified the access rights for the customer, and the modules and dialogues have been replaced by simple tick boxes. So I'm going to show you where that is now. Just going to go to so it's in settings, access rights. And then you can see that we've got a number of users set up, and you can edit their information. So you can select the description, and if they are not going to have certain access to, say, bank details, reporting, then you can untick that, and they will only have partial access to new and edit. So you can do that for all the modules and areas. So you can see customers, quotations, suppliers. You can do that. So it allows you to be in control of what's being added to the system. And it's pretty straightforward. If you don't want them to have access to certain areas, you can select the box and give them non-access. Another thing that you can do is you can copy the users as well. So if two directors, for example, or if two admin people need the same rights, then what you can do is select their name, select copy, just add a new username and a password, and it would copy the rights that they have. Select OK. Oh, PH already exists. So if I select copy now, I might want to try BH, for example. OK, that. And then the user will be added with the different access rights. You can also delete users and edit users as well, as I showed you before. And you can add new ones as well if you want to give them full access to everything. So that's the access rights. What you've also got is inactive accounts. So within Sage 50 accounts, if you have any customers who don't currently have a balance, so outstanding balance, so we can see that Bronson Inc. Doesn't have any outstanding balance, and it might be because they've paid off their balance and no longer using us anymore. So what we can do is we can double click into their account. And then what we can do is we can select them as an inactive customer. We can save the information and close. And you'll see now Bronson Inc. isn't there within the list. But what you can do is in the top toolbar you've got inactive, include inactive customers. So if I select that option, now Bronson Inc. now appears, and you can see a list of all the clients that might be inactive. So you can also change all these views as well, so you can change it according to all your customers that don't have any outstanding balance. So you can filter the information that you see. So the inactive account options is available in all the customers, suppliers and products and services. And as I mentioned, it can be applied to any account with a zero balance. Now, this allows easy filtering on the areas of customer, suppliers and products and services, and you can list the individuals to hide inactive accounts. So that's some of the main features within Sage new release. So what we also have is Sage Drive. Now, the rollout of the element of Sage 50 accounts is basically the product, the release will need to be staggered, as it's a big change to our servers, and if we make it available to everyone, then there might be too many people trying to call, so it might cause a knock-on effect with technical support. Now, what you can do is you can register yourself if you want to find out more about Sage Drive and get involved in the staggered release. And the clients would only need to register. You don't, as their accountant. So what is Sage Drive? Now, Sage Drive is a cloud-based data share system, and Sage Drive will use the power of the cloud to synchronize data across multiple PCs to make it as if you are basically in the same office as the client. And it creates a local copy of the data on the PC and uses the data service to update any changes that anyone makes to each other's clients. Now, if I add a new invoice, then what would happen is it would put it into cloud and back to the customer. Access to Sage Drive is free for 12 months, and then from year 2 it's chargeable unless they're on subscription or Sage Cover Extra. And all licenses come with access for Sage connected users and one Sage connected accountant. Now, what this will do also, it will replace the accountant's link. So how does it work? So first, the client would need to set up Sage Drive, and then they would push a copy of the data online. The client then will be the data owner, and they set up the accountant up as a user on the Sage Drive data. So they'll be able to do that by going into the File option and set up Sage Drive. They would then need to sign in, and once they've done that, they will then be able to upload their data. Once they get the confirmation, they'll be able to close the screen, and they will then need to add the accountant as a user. So accessing data from the Sage Drive, so now all the accountant will need to do is go into the new company wizard to link to the client's data. They can then access the live data at the same time as the client, and the data is fully synced so you can see their changes and they can see yours. Now, if you already have that company as a company on your list, now this will appear as a duplicate. So the best thing to do is remove the original company if the accountant already has it on their system. So once you go through the setup, you would then be asked to connect to the data from Sage Drive. And then you will be given the list of what data you want to access. You'd be given a remote access password, and then you'll be able to log into Sage Drive. This will then allow you to start working on your client's data, and it would be as if you're in the same office with them. So that's what Sage Drive is, and currently if you are interested in that, then please let us know and we can get you signed up for the staggered release. So as part of Sage 50 Accounts, we've also got Sage 50 Accounts Tracker, which is a new app. And with Sage 50 Accounts Tracker, it's for owner managers only, and it's only mobile only at the moment. So what you're then able to do is see a snapshot of any sales that might be overdue. You would then be able to go into the account, select the contact, and then contact the customer. Now then we've got Sage 50 Accounts Mobile, which is sale for sale people, and it's for tablets. So here what you would be able to do is create invoices and send them off to the customers. So that does conclude the session. Now, is there any questions that you might have? Okay, so there are no questions. So thank you very much for joining me today. I do appreciate your time. Thanks. Bye.